Hello and welcome to an amazing podcast. This is the handsome member of Lazarus, D.
This is Modi.
This is Epic Gamer Hacker, Matt.
And we are talking about the grand finale of Lazarus. Okay, so I have very mixed opinions on this show. I don't think my opinion of it has really changed all that much, but I do feel like it's pretty mixed on these last couple of episodes. So, same thing as before. People are way too chill about the apocalypse. Like, there's only like one scene of just like urban chaos, and it's like set in the background. And it's only like one dude. Like, you could have had an entire like shit show for like one episode just to highlight how bad things are getting. But it's literally just feels like, we're all about to die. Well, back to TikTok kind of. And my biggest issue with this show,
I mean, honestly, is that not kind of realistic?
okay, and here's the thing. This is the thing about this show that I'm like tripping on, because I'm wondering if I'm too dumb to get, if this show is like really good and I'm too dumb to get it, or if it's really mid and I'm not dumb enough to be hyped about it. Because I feel like there's a lot of nuance to this show that I'm not 100% picking up on, but there's also feels like there's a lot of like narrative stuff going on in the front end that I think is a little weak. Like if I was being the most generous and optimistic about this, I would say this show has a lot going on in the back end of the writing, but I think in the front end, it's a little on the weak end.
I think so. Yeah. So I probably agree with a lot of what you say, and I would say that in my overall opinion after watching this last few batch of episodes is that my opinion on the show has gotten better compared to like the middle part, right? But there's still some problems with it that I'm sure we'll get into later.
I love the
but
dance
on that
number.
thing, I was at least glad that they showed it, like, because that part where you're talking about when like what's his name, the Phantom Assassin was just walking down the street and it was like chaos. You're right, it probably would have been better if it was a whole episode, but I'm glad that they at least showed it, like, because it would have been so bad if they didn't. So
I wish they would play that up more. Like, give him a full-on slow, like, Tobey Maguire, like, street dance-off while all the shooting's going on. And then have, like, the active shooter, like, turn to him, like, pause, trying to figure out what's going on before getting taken down by the police.
Wait,
Also, the government in this universe is...
Hold on, what scene are you guys talking about?
You remember the scene where they introduced the, like, man's, like...
Oh, yeah.
Quotes?
Yeah.
And he's just walking through the streets slow-mo as, like, a full-on mass shooting is going on.
Yeah.
Also, the government in this universe is really freaking bad, in my opinion.
Oh, in
Like-
that universe? Just in that universe? Sorry.
I'm just saying, like...
Honestly, they seemed a little bit more coherent, all things considered, if you compare it to reality. Not that I want to introduce that into this podcast, but
I'm just saying, like, the president is dying from this stuff. You at least think they would be dropping, like, 18 executive orders and signing a get your act together, I am not dying to this shit bill.
I do think it's funny that they're like, the one guy, we have to get him because he keeps escaping prisons. How could you let this guy into your group or whatever? Let's hire the, like, assassin trained at birth who like just killed like 50 soldiers without any consequences. I guess only the bad guy did that, like, offhand.
Okay. Here's the funny thing. Like, how do you explain that to the government? Like, like, holy shit, we weren't expecting him to kill those guys. I thought this was a training exercise. They have, like, families. We have to pay their life insurance now.
I think the conclusion to the show was, personally, I think it was weak. I don't know.
I think
Yeah, go on.
I think my biggest issue is, Okay, so my biggest issue with the show, I mentioned this before, is it feels aggressively villain of the week, and it feels like a lot of the episodes could be cut out, and this could be made into a 2 hour long movie. Like the fact that they find the little like heart medication in Skinner's apartment in like his house and forget about it for like 8 episodes, and that being like a major like plot thing drove me insane.
Yeah.
And I feel like you that entire middle section with the cult, the whatchamacallit, the bunker raids, and even the stuff with Chris and like them starting World War III, I feel like you could have easily cut all that stuff out and you have had almost the same experience.
Yeah, like it would make sense if, like, I would have liked some of those concepts. Again, like I feel like you have an interesting idea for the show, being like how does the world react to like given a sudden like time limit? Like can they pull together long enough to like find a cure or like to find Skinner in this regard? Or are they like it's interesting to see what kind of stuff arises from that, and we get like little hints of that, like, oh, there's this one like tech cult, there's this like a free for all in the criminal underworld or whatever. You have like people who are still more concerned about like covering up their misdeeds over even saving like the fucking world. I just feel like we don't really get enough of any of those things, and none of them are like really cohesive with what ends up like happening, and with what ends up like solving it to the point where it's like the ending conflict is there. I could be kind of misremembering things because I saw like a lot of this last week, and I don't really there are parts of it that I might have like kind of not paid as much attention to. But like the ending organization, they were just like trying to kill the Lazarus people to like stop from uncovering their like the fact that they wanted to make chemical weapons, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what got Skinner to do his stuff in the first place, right?
Yes.
I don't know. I feel like that being it is kind of like disappointing with the stakes that you set in the world.
See, I wish like the first thing is I think we needed more of an active antagonist in this. And I think the senator guy could have done the senator and the assassin could have worked well for that. But the biggest issue is it's kind of dumb in the grand scheme of things because like everyone's gonna die. Like
why wouldn't
you're gonna
they
end up
help
taking
them?
your like you're taking your secret to the grave anyway. Like if it was something more like I knew about how dangerous Hopna was and I made sure to keep only my people alive so we would inherit the earth or something like that, that could have worked a little bit better. And even if like the Phantom Assassin guy, he felt like there were so many scenes just trying to figure out who this guy was when it felt like it didn't really apply to the main conflict. Like I feel like it would have been way more interesting if he was just like one of like Skinner's disciples and he was just his job was to hunt down people who were getting too close to him, maybe. Or hell, I know this is crazy. I know this is a very me idea.
Yeah.
What if, so scientifically speaking, there's a theory that humans can only use like 40% of our body's full power because if we use too much, it'll start tearing like muscle ligaments and start hurting the body. What if Skinner, once they find Skinner, he reveals that he took so much Hopna that his pain is just completely gone and he can use 100% of his like full body, and the final fight is him versus Axel, with him being like, Skinner being like, "You want the cure, you gotta earn it."
That is such a you.
That really is a you. Yeah, that really is a you idea.
It's like watching too much. God, or it's like Metal Gear Rising.
Were you gonna say anime?
Anime, like I honestly, tell me what you guys think about this idea. What if they made like the super killer guy like a part of like the main crew from the beginning, and then like it's in everyone's interest that they find Skinner. It's just like it's kind of a race of like once you have the cure, it's like determining like who kind of gets the cure. So you have like someone in the main character list who's like working against well, working with the main characters, but when it comes time to at least working against their interests, that way we have like a little bit more of a kind of climactic final battle where it's like we actually care about the two people who are fighting in a
Yeah.
sense. I don't know like about which character I would necessarily like. That would add a whole other character to it, but I don't know. I just didn't really care about the final villains, I guess.
Yeah.
Also, I
will
fucking
s-
hate
Yeah,
Skinner. Someone should have slapped him. He's a dumbass.
Okay. I think Skinner was way too calm about this entire situation. I would have loved it if, like, when like the one lady comes to confront him, he's just pissed. He's like, "What the hell? What? How did it take you guys so long to freaking find me? I was right here.
I'm about
This
to
was supposed
release
be-
it. Okay, I'm about to die. Okay.
Like, this is supposed to be like a 2-week long thing just to teach people to, like, don't trust big pharma and, like, have more focus on the government. It's been 30 days, you jackasses. I heard you caused World War III. And did you just bomb a building?
You started a war with Russia? What the fuck?
I was right there. When your guys walked in, I was like, okay, they found me. Time to, like, wrap this up. Let's go. I would have loved it if, like, there's an act. Okay, I want to ask you guys a question. Do you think people kept using Hopna after all of this? Because that would be hilarious if there was, like, a season 2 and it's like, yeah, now that we have the cure for Hopna, we can keep using Hopna. And then, like, Skinner releases another video. It's like, you assholes not learn your lesson? Well, here's the thing. The cure only works once. You want to find the real cure? Go out and find it.
And then the One Piece theme song starts playing.
Yes.
I put all my drugs in one piece.
I would have loved it if, like, you got another after credit scene where he was just still, like, really spiteful about taking this long for them to find him, that he, like, purposely smudged the cure a little bit. So it's like, oh yeah, it cures you, but oh no, like, erectile dysfunction's on the rise. Good luck with that. There's too many dicks on this planet.
Well, Moda, you seem to like it. Let's get a positive voice in here.
I mean, that might be an exaggeration.
Okay.
Maybe it's not. I mean, I think I probably like it more than you guys, and probably because of my bias towards the director, I probably have a more positive view of it. But I would say, I mean, yeah, like, I guess pretty much the thing that I was trying to say at the beginning was that if the show had kept going the way it was when we reviewed like episodes 3 through 8, and it just kept going like that, it would have been definitively, I would have just been like, oh wow, this is a bad show. Yeah. But I think in the end, although it wasn't great, I think it was an improvement over the middle part, and it may not necessarily have saved the show. I don't think at the end of the day, I think the show could have been a lot better, but it basically, comparing to the middle, like, it left me with like a better taste in my mouth than I thought I was gonna have, because like by the end of episode 8, I was like, wow, this is not going good. But yeah. I mean, honestly, I agree with you with a lot of the things you guys are saying. I thought it was funny in episode 9 when they have the meeting at the Pentagon, right?
Yeah.
With Abel and all those people, to talk about like what Lazarus has been doing. First of all, I'm glad that they actually addressed the fact that they just went in and bombed a Russian base. That was good, because we talked about that during the review. We were like, is this just they're just gonna do this and no, there's not gonna be any consequences? So at least there was like some sort of consequences for that.
They committed a
but
war
like I thought it
crime
was
and
funny
got off.
because yeah, I thought it was funny because it was like, it's almost like that committee that was like convening to talk about it was like specifically there so they could complain about there being too many filler episodes. Like, because that's literally when they were talking, they were like, you guys have just spent time like going on these side trips and you haven't actually done anything, And I was like, yeah, I kind of agree. It's like, were they watching our review or something? But yeah, I think it's I feel like if what I would say like on the whole is that going back to what you said about if the Phantom Assassin had been like maybe part of the crew, I don't necessarily agree that it would have been better if he was part of the crew.
Yeah, maybe not.
From the start, but I do think it would have been better if he had been introduced from the start, and also what's his name, Schneider, the guy who was the head of INSCOM, who was trying to hide the fact that they were trying to create a chemical weapon. I think those two characters, being that they were like, at the end of the day, they were the main antagonists, they should have been introduced from the beginning. And even if they weren't always present, like in every single episode, like directly and being like antagonistic towards the protagonists, there at least would have been some overall effect of their presence, like throughout the series, so that we know it's building up to them. But since they were really just introduced in the third act, it kind of felt like it lost a lot of weight. And so yeah, I feel like if they were there in the beginning, it would have been way better, because then we could have had so I feel like the point, it seemed like the point of what Skinner was doing was that he was trying to he made Hapna be like something that would pretty much kill off the whole world unless the whole world came together and worked together. It seems like maybe that was supposed to be like the theme of the story, like making the whole world put aside, pettiness and all that, and work together towards something good to actually make the world better, because he was jaded and all that, right?
Yeah.
So it kind of goes back to what you were saying, Matt, where it's like what it should have been is Schneider and the Phantom Assassin guy. They were like, their whole point in the story should have been finding the world will be saved, and like Hapna will be found by undermining other actors and other people who are also trying to find Hapna. Yeah. And then the theme that the main characters would have been representing is Hapna will be found by getting the world to work together. I feel like that would have been the best way to do it, but it just felt kind of disorganized, and it didn't really pull through. And then I know I'm going on a long rant, but like also when it comes to the Phantom Assassin and his backstory, it just felt like kind of pointless. Like, why did that matter at all?
No, definitely, yeah.
The fact that he was in a assassin school as a child and all that. I mean, I guess it's interesting, but like it just kind of felt like it was shoehorned in.
I think his backstory would have been way more interesting if he was tied to Axel more. Like maybe they were childhood friends, and then when that thing that went off that got all of Axel's crew killed, maybe like the Phantom Assassin got brought into that like super soldier program thing, and then that's the whole main conflict of them, or like that's where the emotional weight comes in from them fighting. But right now it just feels like he's such a why should we care about him kind of character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially with how much weight he has at the end of it, where he has that big, huge fight scene with Axel, where he's like, he kind of feels like, to me, I care about him as much as I do, like, I don't know, the random shitty dude in the other episode, like, take your pick, of course. Sorry, go on.
Yeah. No, I mean, I pretty much agree with that. Like that ending scene when they were fighting, it was kind of like, the one thing I will say that was cool and interesting about him is that it seemed like his fighting style was perfectly made to counter the way it's like kind of like Axel and him were like kind of perfect opposites, I guess, in a way, in terms of their fighting style. So it was like, in terms of actual combat and fighting, like I think he made a good antagonist to Axel on that point, but like otherwise there wasn't really any connection. And also Axel's backstory ended up being kind of bare. Like, I feel like he actually got the least backstory out of all the characters, which is crazy.
Hey, they did Doug dirty. We didn't even get a flashback for him.
Oh, That's true. Yeah, Doug didn't even get a flashback. He just got like we just talked about what happened like briefly in one episode, and that was it.
What's crazy is
Also,
like he looks so cool. I was waiting for him to like have like
Yeah.
like learning what his whole deal was, but he's just kind of like I don't
Yeah,
know. We don't
I'm
get enough
the
of him, you know.
I'm the normal guy. Also, okay, real fast. Again, I want to point out how Inscom kind of effed up the whole Phantom Assassin thing hard because they paid this man a couple a good couple of $1 million, and all he did was kill an entire squadron of military soldiers and blow up a freaking highway. Dude, like this dude's supposed to be a silent assassin. He's just lobbing grenades all over the place.
Yeah, he
And
kills a bunch of
it's
professional
like-
soldiers with a wire, but then he immediately starts like shooting and blowing up shit.
I know you mentioned it before, D, but like it's really crazy how he didn't like he sacrificed like why would Schneider sacrifice a whole squad of his own people
Yeah.
to test the Phantom Assassin? Like, why don't you send him after some like real bad guys, you know? Like just send him after someone else, you know? Why would you? That's so weird. It's so that was like it wasn't even weird, it was just
Stupid.
like
Not saying
Yeah,
it's like
I just-
cartoonishly evil. Like not saying that this show isn't necessary. Like it's not super subtle and it's not like above being like kind of goofy with its action sequences sometimes. But like I don't know, that was just like a kind of dumb sequence to me. Where he's like he
I mean,
takes
the
out this
action
full
sequence-
No, it's a cool action sequence. I was just kind of thinking
Yeah.
of like it feels like kind of out of place, like in like what the story is trying to tell. Especially like sending in like a bunch of your like military guys to just get like slaughtered.
Yeah. I feel like, I mean, in terms of the actual action itself, I thought it was amazing. I mean, I feel that
Oh,
way
yeah.
about the whole show.
No,
Like,
I agree.
that scene was
Yeah.
crazy good. And I can understand the function of it, storytelling wise, is just to like establish how much of a badass
Yeah.
the Phantom Assassin is. But yeah, it made no sense to have him just like kill your own people. That's just, I just don't get that at all. But also, I was gonna say it's so insane that Axel, like, okay, the fact that he survived a spear through his abdomen is crazy, especially because it was so unnecessary.
Yeah.
Like, you could have just had him like you
Shot.
could have him get injured and hospitalized without it being like a spear literally going through his stomach, you know? Like, it doesn't have to be that serious to hospitalize him, because then like when he gets up a couple days later, it's just like
He
What?
walks
Like,
off.
He walks it
walks
off.
I'm
off
okay
a collapsing building.
I'm okay with suspending disbelief, but like when you just play in my face like that, like you didn't have to do it. You know what I mean? It's like you could have had him get stabbed with a knife or something. I don't know, like, and it didn't have to be right through his stomach, right? Like it, there's so many less bad injuries you could have that could still land him in the hospital for a couple days, and it would be believable that he would be able to get up and go and try to fight the Phantom Assassin a couple days later. But like when you do something that drastic, it's just like, why would you do that?
Listen, pain tolerance is high. Oh my god. Do you think they gave him Hopna for his injuries?
Might as well at this point.
I mean,
you
it
know?
wouldn't work, would it?
Also, I could have sworn they were gonna kill off Doug when he like tried to buy time for what's her name? God.
It would have been such a
I
dumb
don't
way
know.
for him to die
Elena.
too. It would have been
Yeah, Elena. Because like I was thinking to myself, it's like, oh god, black man, U.S. Law enforcement, this is gonna go horribly. I mean, again, it was a cool ass scene, him getting hit by a car and then him shooting it off a cliff. That was awesome, but still, it's like he walked that off really easily too.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah,
excited for a little Doug and Elena team up episode, but
Yeah.
I don't even know why he had to buy time like that. At that point, just
Like they
kill
were
them. I don't know.
they had like a paragraph of dialogue between the two of them. That was kind of disappointing.
Um,
Although it
uh,
is the kind of thing where you have like the two like introvert members of the team like teaming up together, so I feel like you probably couldn't get too much from that.
Yeah.
yeah.
One thing I did like about that episode was Lynn though.
Hmm.
She was cool. You know
Yeah.
the what's her name? Doctor
Popcorn
Screamer.
Wizard.
What was it again? Popcorn
Popcorn
Wizard.
Wizard.
I don't know why I
Popcorn
said Doctor
Wizard.
Screamer. Popcorn Wizard Lynn. Yeah.
Yeah.
She was cool. She was probably one of the better characters. I mean, that's making it seem like I don't like the characters, which isn't necessarily true.
I liked all the
But
protagonists.
I liked her a lot though.
Like in terms of characters, I think I enjoyed all of the characters aside from like
Yeah.
Senator Evil and Phantom Assassin. Like I think a lot of the characterization in this was pretty good, and I think it kind of like survived off of that. I just think like the whole story flow wasn't really there for me.
Yeah,
I think
agree.
I think my problem is, and this is like an unfair problem to have with it. I think with the premise of the show, I kind of wanted it to really take a more like a darker, a bit more mature, like direction to take with how it's going to handle like you said earlier, Modi. It's like um when the stakes are like, yeah, the pretty much all of the human race is like going to die off in like a few days. It's like what like evil shit rises to the surface? Like what do our characters have? Like what's like the global response to this? Like how like what does this like bring out in people when you put like a, a ticking clock on them going to die? It just feels so like, but then when we go they're just kind of going around like fighting people in clubs and uh like I don't know, it just feels like it doesn't fully take advantage of its stakes.
Like the state of the world just doesn't match the state of the story. Like
Well, that's the thing, we
you're
don't
telling
really
me.
get to see the state of the world too much.
Hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I don't necessarily think. I mean, I don't think it would be bad if it took a darker tone, but it's not really my preference in general, just for stories in general. And I don't even think it needed to take a darker tone. I just think it needed to have a more focused and consistent theme, I think, and just more focused writing in general. I think that's probably what it needed.
Did anyone else? Did you guys ever feel like felt anxious or like restless when you were watching the last couple of episodes? Because when I was watching, it was like, dude, the world is about to end. Your brother has information. Give it to him. Like this downtown Abbey stuff can wait. For God's sakes, move. I get you're talking to your like hacker idol friend, but everyone's gonna die in 24 hours. Hurry the heck up.
Yeah.
I mean, you could have had a moment
Yeah,
where
I
they don't
guess.
know if the plan worked or not, so you have like see what people are doing in their last like hour alive or whatever, what they think is the last hour alive, or I don't know, just in general. I forgot what I was gonna say. Someone else talk.
I find it hilarious how no one like found him in that homeless camp. Like you would think like, oh shit, this white-haired old man has the secret to like saving everyone's life and saving the world. Maybe we should like be on the lookout for people in our lives who match that description. Also,
True.
Jill, like when they talked to Jill, she mentioned like, yeah, he's been here for the past 3 years. What of it? I'm like, you're mentioning this now.
Girl, what are you
You
talking
didn't do the
about?
math.
Like she was taking care of him. You would think that she would just say like, "Oh wow, this Skinner guy looks a lot like that like new homeless guy Leonard who just walked in."
I just
And
do...
also, like,
Sorry, go on.
I was gonna say, what really changed in the end? Like, after they caught Skinner, they got the cure, and then what actually changed.
They uncovered some corruption, I
Aside
guess,
from
in the government and certain organizations, but besides that, like, yeah, it's the humanity didn't prove itself like worthy of life, essentially.
Mm.
yeah,
Hey,
yeah,
humanity.
it's
Do you know how many countries came together to bomb that Russian base? Okay.
One. The only people looking to cure the world were like 5 people in like one organization. Like,
And the 5 people were immune to the Hopna, too.
yeah, I think it's a little bit. I don't know, something about the whole, like, whenever a character has a philosophy and they're like presented as like a smart, like, cool character of like, I want to like end all of humanity because humanity's not worth it. I just think that's like doomer and stupid.
Yeah.
Because like, why are you going? Noticed a corruption in the system where, oh, they like you have these terrible people trying to make like weapons out of your drug, and you're like, you know what? I think the conclusion is like, I want to kill every single human being,
The other
despite like
follow-up,
people
not to
suffering under those same systems. Unless that wasn't his goal,
not
but
to
like, wouldn't that have
not to
happened if he didn't do anything about it? Sorry,
the
go
other
on.
thing is, if he was so smart, why didn't he figure out a better solution?
Yeah.
yeah, and it's just like it's not even just dumb, but it's just like it's so narcissistic.
Yeah.
Like, okay, fine. You hate the world. Okay, just kill yourself then. Why do you have to take everyone with you? You know, like like you don't have to do all this.
You didn't
Like,
talk
who
to
do
like
you
a
think you
therapist
are, you
about
know?
this? Like,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm gonna like make all these people suffer and die, as a result of like my bad experience with the world. Instead of like doing, like, you could say, oh, maybe that was his way of like like making the world better, is because he knew that if he presented the situation, like, people would overcome and like come together as a race. But I still feel like the show
Except
could
he
be
was
like a little
fully
bit more.
prepared for that to not
Yeah,
happen.
yeah, he was fully prepared for it to not to happen. And if that's the case,
Yeah.
like, I would present Skinner as kind of like a flaw. Like, I would like have the show kind of challenge his philosophy, especially have the characters challenge his philosophy, and be like, no, that's
Yeah.
kind of dumb to take. Because the show still treats him like a genius at the end, and we get like boohoo moments when he like dies or whatever. But I feel like
Yeah.
they should be slapping him over the head, being like, "What the hell's wrong with you?" Like, of course we're worthy of life. Like, how could you make that decision for us?
Hey, he was going to let a solid 5% of the population live, okay? Those islanders would have been fine.
Sure. If you're gonna have him be like a kind of a dickhead, then I would like the show to kind of treat him like a dickhead
Yeah.
a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I totally agree with that.
Anything else, you guys?
Yeah, I have a few things. Okay, so
Yeah.
can you guys explain to me what specifically was the reason he made Hapna in the end? Because I didn't really actually understand the motivation. Like, was it literally just to get people to come up with a cure, and then what?
So I think the main idea of the plan was like a little while, like sometime before all the happiness stuff went down, he found out that the government was using his research to create bioweapons. So he tried to like flee the country to get the word out and try to reveal it, but then the government clapped down, caused the shootout that got all those people killed, and that was his like turning point to basically wipe out humanity because he believed that they weren't worthy of living, and then that's how he started the whole like
Okay.
Hapna plan. But I still think that's pretty
Yeah.
bad reasoning.
Okay, yeah. So it's okay. I'm realizing now it's not that I didn't understand it. It's just that it was so bad that I thought I didn't understand it. I was like, no,
Yeah.
it can't be that. There's no way. Okay, it is that. Okay. All right, okay.
Because it's like, how
Yeah,
dare
no,
these
it
people
was
like?
just-
It's like,
yeah.
how dare these people use my research to kill a bunch of people? I'm gonna use my
gonna kill a
research
bunch
to
of
kill a bunch of
to kill everyone.
Oh,
yeah.
Only person who gets to use my research for mass murder is me.
Yeah. I had something else I was going to say. Oh yeah, so I was going to say one interesting thing about this is that the director said that like pretty much all his shows actually, he in his mind they occur in the same universe. So one thing about this show that I can say is that this does feel like um, a realistic precursor to the Cowboy Bebop world. So I can at least give it that.
I was going to ask you, do you think Axel is Spike Spiegel's like great grandfather? And
I
do you
wouldn't be
think-
surprised.
Do you think Mugen is Axel's great grandfather as well?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case. They're probably all related.
Would you watch the live action? Would you watch the Netflix live action of Lazarus?
Probably not if they kept the story the same.
I wouldn't watch it sober.
Did you watch the Cowboy Bebop live action?
Oh God, no.
Oh, okay, yeah. It's
You know how
funny
busy
because
I
it's
am?
funny how these things work because I was so excited for that until it actually came out and I saw like the reviews and I saw some clips and I was like, wow. Oh well, I'm not watching it.
I almost watched it just because the people who are like, her outfit isn't like accurate to the show, and it's like, yeah, because she has to move around and fight in it. What are you talking about? Yeah, people have to actually like worry about moving around in human anatomy and like how long they're gonna have to wear the costume for, you know?
Yeah.
I'm just saying, Nami looked like live action Nami looked nothing like.
They should have
Nami.
removed all her organs.
0 out of 10.
I will say something positive about this show is like we've talked about before. They're always like great at like both the action sequences, just like having a general style. Like the styles are pretty good.
Yeah,
This show
Yeah,
has
it
an
has.
amazing atmosphere.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah, I think setting wise, art wise, style wise,
yeah.
animation wise, it's very good.
Character designs
Yeah.
are like pretty good too. Like for the for the most part, like I like how the characters
yeah.
look. And honestly, again,
That's true.
I still have an issue with the voice acting.
Yeah.
Or honestly, not even just the voice acting, just like the how the dialogue is written. Like, it feels so. It just sounds so. I don't want to say bad. I feel like that's
it's-
mean. No, I don't mean to be mean to the
it's-
voice actors either. It's just like it just sounds like
Yeah.
weird.
So,
which is-
okay, so it's weird.
It's funny because like like Doug for example looks so cool, but then I like hear the stuff coming out of his mouth and like what the fuck are you talking about?
The weird thing
What I'm
too
curious
is,
about-
Yeah, sorry. Go
like
ahead.
sorry, go ahead.
I was watching this back to back with My Hero, and I think the biggest. So I think
My Hero has a better
Matt-
English.
yeah is way
dub.
better.
Yeah,
But I think the other thing with this one is it feels like it wants to be anime, but it also wants to be grounded. And I
Right.
feel like the actors are really restricted in this. Like,
I can see
I
that.
feel like I feel like a lot of these actors would be a lot better in more like something like My Hero, where the characters are allowed to be way more expressive.
Yeah,
But in this, it's so restrained, and I think that coupled with how like the actual like dialogue is written, kind of doesn't do many favors.
yeah, I could see that.
Yeah. I actually watched the last episode dubbed because the sub hadn't come out yet. And I don't know, I thought it was actually pretty good.
Yeah.
Which makes me think, what would you guys think of the sub? Because if you guys think the dub is bad. And I actually thought the dub was maybe even a little bit better than the sub. So
Really,
Really?
Okay.
yeah, I'd be curious to hear what you guys thought about the sub. But yeah, I don't. Maybe like I was gonna say, maybe it has to do with the production of it because this seems like a show that was meant to be like produced with a Western audience in mind to like from the beginning. So it's interesting because like I think a lot of the time dubs can sound awkward in anime because it's dubbed. I mean, it's created with Japanese language in mind. So then when you go over and you dub it, you have to like figure out like the timing changes, right? So then you have to, sometimes the wording might be awkward because you have to get certain lines in a certain amount of time, or you have to extend certain lines a certain amount of time or whatever. But I wouldn't actually expect that to happen with this show since it seems like it was made with a Western audience in mind. So I don't really know what happened. But I mean, for me personally though, I thought the dub wasn't bad at all, at least for the last episode.
I wouldn't say, like I said, I wouldn't say the dub is bad, but I will say I hate the word mid, but it really is. Like, it doesn't do anything really right, but it also doesn't do anything really wrong.
I think it's just like very, like we said the line, let's move on, but like the lines are very like very, they're just like basic in the way that they like deliver information. And then like when they try to be playful, it's giving more like, you know, Marvel type, not Marvel. I
didn't
know.
want to say like
maybe it's actually just the writing. It might actually just
no.
be the writing
I
that's the
do
issue.
think a big part of it's the writing. Like I said, the way the dialogue is written feels so unnatural that I feel like no matter how you're gonna act it, but like maybe it wouldn't be as noticeable if the characters were like a little bit more animated in general, like not literally animated. If you know what I mean, like animated in the way that they are animated cartoon characters that talk.
Like, so one of the biggest, like, one of my favorite dubs is the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure dub, because the way the dialogue is written, it's so awkward and weird that it specifically feels like something those characters in this world would say. I feel like the issue with this is a very subdued, very chill, very whatchamacallit, atmospheric show. And I think they were trying to have the characters speak like how characters in this world would speak, but it just doesn't come across that.
Yeah. And for whatever reason, like I'm sure it's not like anyone's fault necessarily. It's just, you know.
I think there's probably a good reason for it, but I'll get to it when I give my overall review.
Yeah.
But yeah, with that said, do you guys want to give your ratings and all that?
Sure. All right. So, for me, this is a really hard show for me to rate because I do think it does a lot of things really well, but I also think it has a lot of weaknesses to it, and it's not a show that panders to me. I know that's a weird thing, but like it doesn't have as many of like my own specific design tastes to sort of distract me or allow me to like forgive some of the shortcomings. So I would say for this show, the pros for it are amazing fight choreography and action set pieces, really great environments and atmosphere and settings, really cool, well designed, likable characters, with the cons being you need like a large amount of suspension of disbelief to really engage with, a relatively wonky pacing and story structure, and overall I feel like the dialogue could use a little bit more work. So I'm caught between, I feel like if I was to give a knee-jerk rating for this, I would say a 7 out of 10. If I was being really strict with myself, I would probably give it a 6 out of 10.
Okay. I agree with a lot of what you said. I think, of course, we talked about this a lot already. The action was spectacular. Art was great. The way the setting was created was also really good. I said this in one of the earlier reviews, but this legitimately feels like if the world continues the way it is, how the world will be in 2056 or whatever the year was. But the weak parts we also talked about was really, I guess I'll talk about the characters. The characters, I liked them. They were interesting. Oh, well, I won't say interesting. They were likable.
Yeah.
The characters were likable, and I liked Axel. Axel is just like this, like is just the archetype of character that I like in general. So it's really hard for me to not like that kind of character, even if it turned out that his backstory was very weak. But I just like that kind of character in general, and I like the other characters too. But yeah, I would say overall that was fine. But over like the worst part of the show, the thing that drags it down is really the plot and the writing. I think, like I said before, it was unfocused thematically, and that really hurt the show a lot. And I on that point, I don't know if you guys saw, but at the end of the episode, when during the credits, it was like it showed rest in peace to someone. What was her name? Keiko Nobumoto. So she's actually a writer who has worked. So Watanabe is the director, and she's worked with this director on every single one of his shows.
Jeez.
Up until this one, and she's been like the main writer, like his main writer, his go-to writer. So I think the reason that the writing suffered in this show compared to a lot of his other ones probably has to do with that. Not to knock on his writing skills. I don't know if anyone else is on team or whatever, but like, it seemed like he pretty much wrote the entire thing. At least from what I could tell from the credits. I could be wrong about that. So yeah, so she died like back in 2021. So I feel like that's probably the reason why, compared to his other shows, it was weak on that point. So yeah, overall, I would say. Oh yeah, and last thing I'll say is that even though I thought it was, like I said, it was like the theme was kind of unfocused, and I know that this is considered a no-no in like writing, that like you're supposed to. Writers are technically supposed to be like subtle, and they're not supposed to be like very heavy-handed in terms of like their message, and they're not supposed to beat it down your throat and be like, especially when it's political and all that. But honestly, I'm someone who appreciates that. Like I appreciate when a writer stands on it and just like says, this is, I have a message and I'm saying it in my writing like very clearly. I don't have a problem with that. So even though I thought it was unfocused, I appreciate how heavy-handed the story was in terms of like the message that it was trying to send. And so yeah, so overall, I would probably give it like a 6 out of 10.
Nice.
I agree with everything about the animation and like the setting, and the characters are likable. I like all the characters. I think they did a good job of like characterizing them. I don't think there's anything like beyond their characterization that I find like super interesting. Like I don't really find any of their backstories like very like engaging. I just kind of like seeing the characters like talk to each other. But even then, like a big issue I have is with the dialogue, but most of all is like the story, where it just feels like the story ends up not really saying much at all, because like we don't like nothing really comes of like what the setup is. We don't really get to see, like, especially when you make the main villain like that kind of cartoonishly evil. And it's like so like I guess Skinner's main issue with the world was like this one like corrupt guy in the military, and all we needed to do to resolve it was like get that guy. I feel like the show just ultimately doesn't like really say a lot about like humanity or any of the points that it like thinks it's talking about. And to me that's disappointing. Maybe that's unfair to like put that on the show, considering that's like an expectation that I had of it. But either way, I would give it like somewhere between like a 5 and a 5.5, like 5.5. I think there's a lot of good stuff to get from this. I just am like really disappointed by like how it handled its story. But yeah, that's it.
Okay, I think this might be. Maybe I'm wrong. This might be like our most unanimously agreed on show. Like I feel like we agreed pretty much on everything when it comes to this show.
Seriously.
I have a question. If they somehow did a season 2 of Lazarus, would you guys watch it?
Okay, I'm gonna
Probably
answer your
not.
question with a question. Would you rather watch a season 2 of Lazarus or a season 2 of the Shibuya arc from Jujutsu Kaisen?
Season 2 of Lazarus.
Oh,
Mmm.
really? That's surprising. I think I would rather watch season two of. Wait, when you say season two of Shibuya arc, do you mean that the whole season is just
It would have the
more
same.
Shibuya arc?
It would have every single thing right and wrong with the Shibuya arc. So
It's
it would be
pure
like
hype moments and aura. It's just a
yes.
hundred like a full other season of just hype moments and aura with like no writing.
Hmm.
Okay, wait. Okay. This is gonna. We're at the end of the episode. You can't just say that before we end. But because I would not say Shibuya arc is just all hype moments and aura. But
Uh,
okay, I mean, I don't know. I really don't know. I think I would say my gut reaction is I would choose second season of second season of the Shibuya arc.
It would be beautifully animated, to be fair.
but so
Yeah.
would Lazarus.
So would Lazarus be, yeah. But
See, okay, here's the thing.
I would say if they both got new if they both improved the writing, like if both the
No
Shibuya arc
improvement.
and this improved the writing, I would probably pick Lazarus. But if it's both the same, I would probably pick Shibuya arc.
Okay, so for me, it's tricky, but I would probably pick Lazarus just because I think that Lazarus had a much smaller human life cost than the Shibuya arc.
Which is kind of crazy when you think about it. The Shibuya arc is limited to Shibuya, and Lazarus is limited to the globe. So
I I just feel like Shibuya is not bad. I think it's just like concentrated on all of, like the things I like the least about like shonen anime, and just like put it in like a well animated concentrated bottle.
Right.
by the way, I'm pretty sure I'm sure I feel like if we scoured the whole internet, we're not gonna find anyone with more negative opinions of Shibuya arc than us, because everyone loves that arc, but we were we were trashing it.
No, there was an
Least favorite
IGN
arc of Jujutsu Kaisen for me. The arc that was before it was like way better, surprisingly.
I 100% agree with that. Also, there was
It's
one
not my least
IGN.
favorite, but yeah.
There was one IGN review where that gave
Oh,
it a
yeah.
6 out of 10, and I was like, I was too harsh on your website.
Yeah, that's true. The IGN, I remember that the IGN review was also on our side. So
Which is surprising
hey, we're
from
backed
fucking
by
IGN. Yeah.
yeah, I know. that just makes this look even worse. But yeah,
All
okay.
right.
So
That's
is that
been
it?
our
Do you guys have
review.
anything else to say?
I'm good.
I think I'm good.
Okay, yeah. So that's been our review of Lazarus, the whole show. Come back next time. I guess we'll be finishing. Do we have just one more episode?
I think we only have
of
one episode
My Hero?
left of My Hero. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I guess we'll do the last episode of My Hero next time, and then we'll be starting summer anime. So stay tuned for that. Thank you for watching. Bye.
Yippee.
Bye.